One of the best outlets we have out there is advertising, and many of us advertise all the time or are looking to advertise and seeing ad budgets and saying, ooh, I don't know if I want to really pull the trigger on this. This episode is going to be just for you. Welcome to the Magnetic Marketing Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about how to get free publicity from the man who sold the Brooklyn Bridge. Now, Bill Glazer is going to give us a full introduction into Dr. Paul Hartunian, but really quick, there's going to be a two-part episode. So for this very first part, we're going to talk about why publicity is far more powerful than advertising that you can buy, why it's cheaper, why it works so much better, and why it provides so much. If we look back at all the different ways that we have seen things happen politically in the spectrum right now, there is so much more value to being able to be on the large circuits than there is to try to advertise on the large circuits. How do you do that? How do you get to the point where they're saying your name and your name becomes something that is much stronger, more recognizable, and all the different things? That is part one. In part two, well, you have to stick around for that one. Let's go ahead and jump in with Dr. Paul Hartunian, how to get free publicity.
I don't think there's anybody that has had a bigger impact in the field of direct response than Dan Kennedy.
The legend of Dan Kennedy should be ignored at your own peril.
They're not really lessons, they're kind of laws that you live by.
Dan opened my eyes to what small business marketing looks like.
Dan teaches strategic direct response that is timeless.
His ripple effect touches people who don't even know his name.
The world as we know it was changed because Dan Kennedy became obsessed with marketing.
Welcome to the Magnetic Marketing Podcast with your host, Dan Kennedy.
How many of you have ever heard Paul Hartunian speak before? Great, because I've got really good news for everybody who just raised their hand. Paul is here today. He's going to be talking about how to use free publicity, but he's here today with a brand new presentation that you've never seen before. So he's put this together just for Glazer Kennedy coming here because he knows a lot of our folks have certainly heard of him before. How many here have never heard Paul speak before? Well, great, because Paul has a brand new presentation that you've never heard before. And Paul, when it comes to publicity, Paul is the guy that's out there that's a real deal and really teaching it. I tell you, sort of a story about Paul is that I first heard him speak back in 1997. It's the first time I heard him speak. And I immediately took what he taught me back to my menswear business, and we applied it. And our initial goal was I met with my team at Gage, and I said to them, okay, I want one publicity hit a month. Every month I want our name out there somehow in free publicity. And I used Paul's strategies, and the very first year we did it, we got 18 of them that year, 18 publicity hits that very first year. And some of them were things that were like, I mean, I'm stealing a little bit of his thunder, but like one time we came up with an idea at Gage that, men, when they buy a suit, now the men in this room are going to sort of, most of you are going to understand this. If you have a lot of suits and you look in your closet and when you put your suit on, you never can remember what tie goes with what suit. And so we came up with an idea. We bought a cheap digital camera and a cheap digital printer, and we took a photo of the tie and the shirt and the suit before it left the store, and we presented them with a color photo that said, listen, when you wake up in the morning, look at the picture, you figure out what goes with what. And our customers loved it, okay? We spent about $250 on the camera and the printer, but then we sent a story to our local business paper, and we got a featured story on how local retailer came up with an innovative idea to give their customers what they want. Full featured story on this, and I spent $250 on the camera and the printer. And you know what? Anybody could have done this, but all we did was we figured out a way to put a twist on it to make it newsworthy. And that's what I learned from Paul. And consistently at Gage Menswear, we consistently had tremendous success just using his strategies. So if you're looking for the F word, free. If you're looking for free publicity, Paul is your guy. So wherever he is, my good friend, Dr. Paul Hartunian.
Thank you. This next 85 minutes is going to be some of the most important time that you not only in your business, but in your life. We're going to be talking about how you can tap into the power of publicity, but also into the power of the tens of thousands of reporters who are very willing to make you as wealthy and as famous as you'd like if you'll just give them what they like and what they need, and that's a good story. And I will guarantee you that every one of you in this room has dozens of good stories. And if you notice I said the word guarantee, I'm going to guarantee and I'm going to prove every single statement, every single claim that I make today. And at the end of my talk, I'm going to be showing you a number of things. At the end of my talk, you're very welcome to come up here and look at what I showed you, because in the back you may not be able to see it clearly. So please feel very comfortable coming up here, looking at the examples, and verifying that they're really what I say they are. Most importantly, if you've heard me talk before, I'm glad you're here, because this is a different talk. Because last year, one thing happened that changed the way you're going to get publicity and actually the way our entire society operates. And I'm going to be talking about that one thing in just a little while. I have gotten many, many millions of dollars worth of publicity. If at any time, by the way, you think I'm bragging, you got to get off that track. What I'm going to be doing is showing you examples of the power of publicity and what it can give you. So I'm going to show you examples because these are examples that I know. This is one of the articles that I got from a press release that I sent out. Again, I'll walk around, I'll hold this up, I'll show it to you, but if you can't see it at the end of my talk, come up and verify this is really what I say it is. This is a full-page article from the Chicago Daily Herald. If you're from Chicago, you know this is a huge circulation newspaper. And if you will, just look here, you'll see that they hired somebody to pose for this picture. Right down here, they got 3 people to actually try my product. They gave me a full-page write up in their newspaper. They put my photograph there. I couldn't care less that my photograph is there. Make sure you understand this. Write this down. Publicity is not about ego. Publicity is about dollars in the bank. When you do an interview, dollars should go into your bank account, and I'm going to tell you how to do that. If I were to buy this as a full-page ad in the Chicago Daily Herald for just one day, it would have cost me $7,505.15. Where did I get that number? In any big library, there is a directory called Standard Rate and Data, SRDS. It lists all the advertising rates for newspapers all around the country. So if you look in SRDS, under the Chicago Daily Herald, you'll see a one-page ad, full-page ad, costs $7,505.15. This cost me 15 cents, the cost to get the press release into the hands of the reporters. This is a full page from New Jersey Monthly Magazine. I live in New Jersey. This is my state magazine. Every state has a state magazine. You should know your state's magazine. It's a great opportunity for publicity. Again, they put my photograph there. I couldn't care less that my photograph is there. But what they did do is they gave me a full page in their magazine talking about the product that I'm offering. If I bought this as an ad in New Jersey Monthly Magazine in just one issue, it would have cost me $6,420. This is one of my huge hits. This is 2 pages from Forbes magazine, 2 full-color pages from Forbes magazine. Again, if you can't see it, come up at the end and verify this is really what I say it is. This is not a story where at the very end in one sentence they said, oh, this guy Paul Hartunian said this. No, this is all about me and what I'm offering, all about my product. If I bought this as advertising space, it would have cost me about $105,000. I got it for 15 cents. If you do a little calculation on return on investment, you know where I'm going with this. I invested 15 cents. I got back $105,000 worth of advertising space. Here's another very important example. This is a full page from the Dayton Daily News. If you'll notice, up at the top of this full page, there's a Kathy comic strip. The reason they ran the Kathy comic strip is that it ties right into the story that they wrote about me and my product. I did not pay for the rights to that Kathy comic strip. Somebody has to pay for the rights. They can't just run it for free. They paid for the rights to this Kathy comic strip because it ties into the story. They did a full-page article all about the product that I'm offering. And let's see, if you will help me out right here, don't get nervous, you're not going to have to stand up. At the end of this full-page article, all about me and my product, do they give out my toll-free number to order?
Yes.
Yes, they do. Do they include the cost of the product?
Yes.
Yes, they do. Do they include the shipping cost of the product?
Yes.
Could I ask for anything more? Thank you. Thank you. If I bought this as a full-page ad in the Dayton Daily News, after all, they gave me the full page in the newspaper for my story. If I had to pay for that, it would have cost me $22,883.52. How much did this cost me? Very good crowd. Good. This is the last example I want to show you, and this is one of the most powerful examples. I repeat, if you think I'm bragging, get off that track. These are examples of what's available to you if you know how to use publicity, how to get it and how to use it. It looks like a newspaper. It's really a magazine. This is the Kansas City New Times. If you're from Kansas City, you know that this is a huge circulation magazine. I'm going to hold that up. I want you to look at it for another second or two. That's me on the cover. They hired an artist to draw a caricature of me and put me on the cover. Remember I said publicity is not about ego, it's about dollars in the bank. So why do I care that I'm on the cover of their magazine? Because when you're on the cover, people want to know what this is about. And when you open this issue of the Kansas City New Times, you'll see a page-and-a-half article all about the product, all about what I'm offering, all about what I'm making available to their readers. Now, if I went to the Kansas City New Times and I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to write a full page-and-a-half article all about me, promote my product for me, get an artist, put a caricature of me on the front page of your magazine, and I want you to distribute it to all of your readers. How much would this cost me? They would have said, what are you talking about? We're not for sale. You can't buy the Kansas City New Times. And they're right. You can't buy that. But if you know how to use publicity, they'll give it to you for free. I got to cut to the chase here, so I have just a few more examples if you'd like to look them over later. I guess there are about 500 here or so. Feel free to come up and look at these. These are all promotions for my products and my services that the media people gave to me for free. And why did they do that? Because I know how to use publicity. If you'll put my slides up. You may have seen me wearing glasses over the last few days. I just hate wearing glasses, and I can't read that. So I have the slides right here. I'm going to read what's up there from my little copies here, but you'll be able to see it right up there. The title of my talk is How to Get $1 Million Worth of Publicity Free. Some people think that's an exaggeration. $1 million. You're going to see not only is it not an exaggeration, it's probably going to be pretty conservative. Look at the total that I gave you there in just 5 examples. That was hundreds of thousands of dollars simply because I know how to get and use publicity. Let's talk about why publicity is far more powerful than any advertising you can buy, and it's true. Publicity is far more powerful than any advertising you can buy. I'm not saying you shouldn't be advertising. You should be advertising, using yellow pages, sales letters, coupons, whatever else you would like. You should be doing that. But if you're not using publicity, it's like walking down a street covered with $50 bills, and you only pick up the ones on the right side. Why would you do that? That's like traditional advertising on the right side. Why wouldn't you pick up the ones on the left side also? That's publicity. So publicity is far more powerful than any advertising you can buy because it is cheap. It is the cheapest, fastest, most powerful, effective, most enjoyable way I know of promoting not only your business, your product, your service, but anything else that you'd like to promote in your life. For $10, and I mean that literally, $10, you can do a real serious publicity campaign all across America. You can get your press release into the hands of about 200 key media people for about $10. How much advertising space do you get for $10? Yeah, right. You get the letter E. Where would you like your E to appear in the newspaper tomorrow? There's your $10. Gone. For $10, you can do a serious publicity campaign. If you want to just do a local publicity campaign, if you have a local bake shop, for example, it's better than cheap. It's free. You don't pay a penny for it when you're doing local publicity campaigns. So that's one reason. Number 2, publicity is far more powerful than any advertising you can buy because this one is so important. Understand that. Several of the other speakers were referring to it. George was referring to it. You get instant credibility. People instantly believe you. They instantly believe that you're an authority on your topic. They instantly believe that what you're saying is something that they should be listening to. You hear this all the time. You've heard people on the radio, for example, financial experts being interviewed, health people, physicians may be on there, real estate people. What are people doing? If they have a physician on a talk show, what do people do? The physician will say, if you have questions about your health, call me up and I'll be happy to answer them for you. People are calling up, giving this physician the most intimate details of their health over the radio for tens of thousands of people to listen to. Why are they doing that? Because this guy's on the radio. Their physician isn't. So you get instant credibility. Publicity is far more powerful than the advertising you can buy because of speed to market. Speed to market simply means whoever gets their name and their product or service out to the market first has a huge advantage over everybody else who follows. So if you want to run an ad in a magazine, for example, it will take you about 3 months to get that ad into the magazine. If you want to do an infomercial on radio or TV, it can take weeks or months. If you want to do an ad in a newspaper, it will take several days. If you want to get a press release out, it will take minutes. Within an hour, you can get response. My record is 76 seconds. 76 seconds after I faxed out a press release, the phone rang, and not only did the phone ring, the exact person I wanted to call called and booked the interview. 76 seconds. So you get speed to market real fast. And if you want to keep testing different headlines, different press releases, quick. You can write the press release in about 10 minutes, get it out within seconds. Next, publicity is far more powerful than the advertising you can buy because it is fun. You're going to see how much fun it is. I'm going to show you, and again, as I said with everything else, I'm going to prove to you how much fun it is to be on radio and TV and to see yourself in the newspaper. Yep, you'll get a great ego boost, and that's okay, but remember, we're talking about dollars in the bank. It is a lot of fun, and it's going to help you live the life that you've wanted to live. A while back, I spoke at a seminar, and the seminar promoter said that his business gives him everything he had ever wanted. It has given him a beautiful home, a wife, and 3 kids. Well, my business has given me everything I've wanted. A beautiful home, no wife, no kids, everything I could want. So you decide what you want, and your business can help you do that, and the reporters and publicity can help you do that. Publicity is far more powerful than any advertising you can buy because you get instant trust. Instant trust. And why is that so important? It's important because people don't trust you until they know you. If you are simply running ads, you're not developing trust. You've got to go over that hurdle. If you're simply running ads, you've got to build trust in the people. Trust that you're going to deliver. Trust that your product is good. Trust that your guarantee is good. Trust that you'll be there next week. Trust that you'll give them customer support. When you are on radio, TV, or in the newspapers, people instantly trust you. And the way they get to know you is by seeing you on TV, by hearing you on the radio. And that is phenomenal. That is tremendous. So what do we have so far? So far, we have publicity is far more powerful than advertising because it's cheap, you get instant credibility, speed to market, it's fun, you get instant trust, and now the most important part, and this is what has changed tremendously since last year. In addition to all these benefits, publicity is far more powerful than the advertising you can buy because it gives you instant celebrity status. Instantly, you instantly become a celebrity. Now, some of you may be saying, but that's ridiculous. I own a grocery store. You become the celebrity grocer. People have become obsessed with celebrities. In fact, that is why you want this. You want to become an instant celebrity because the world is obsessed with celebrities. Totally obsessed. Look at TV. Look at the infomercials. Look at people who were on infomercials. Look at the newsstand. Look at all the magazines on the newsstand. There are more celebrity magazines than news magazines or sports magazines or any other type of magazine. Celebrity magazines. Look at the TV shows such as the real estate shows, the makeover shows for homes. Carpenters have become celebrities. Plumbers have become celebrities. Real estate agents have become celebrities. We are now obsessed with celebrities. If you look at the infomercials, that guy, the guy that's that exercise machine where your legs are going back and forth but you're not going anywhere, Tony Little. Is it just me, or does this guy give you the creeps? If you saw the guy in a mall doing this, ugh. But he's on TV, he's a celebrity. The other guy who talks too loud, Billy May. And this cleaner is made out of dead barnacles. It'll clean anything. It'll clean your battle. It'll clean this. He's a celebrity. I go to the New York State Fair every year. Every year at the New York State Fair, the woman who reads the winning lottery number, I didn't say pick it, a machine, the ping pong ball machine, picks the lottery number. She stands there and she says, and the winning lottery number tonight is 6438. 6438. Thank you. That's her job. She shows up at the New York State Fair every year. Every year, there is a line of people waiting for her autograph. Society is now saying that we are willing to make anybody a celebrity. Just give us an opportunity. We will make that person a celebrity. Why not a celebrity bike shop owner? Why not a celebrity mechanic? You already know of people like this. If there's somebody in your area, if there's an auto mechanic, and that's a great example, an auto mechanic who is on a radio show every Friday answering auto questions, what do you think happens when people go into his garage? Do they say, oh, you're another grease monkey? No. You're the guy who's on the radio all the time. How many of you listen to NPR, Click and Clack on the Car Talk? These guys are mechanics. They're not actors. They're mechanics. The amazing thing about Click and Clack and Car Talk, and they even make fun of this, is how many times they're wrong. And they even have that thing, if you listen to it, it's called Stump the Chumps. They replay some advice they gave to somebody in an earlier show weeks before, and they have the person come back and they say, well, we told you to change your catalytic converter. Was that right? No, actually, it was the shock absorbers. Oh, we got... And these guys are huge. They're auto mechanics. That's all. But they understood the power of publicity, and now they have the #1 auto talk show in the United States and then therefore in the world. So if you're an auto mechanic or you have a repair shop and you think you can't be a celebrity, boy, are you missing out. Here's what changed last year. Here's the event that happened that not only changed the way you get publicity, but the way our society operates. Of all the news stories all around the world in the entire month of February, this was the third hottest story. The first two were about Iraq. The third hottest news story of all the news stories around the world was the death of Anna Nicole Smith. Even in death, she's stealing scenes here. She would not do it. The death of Anna Nicole Smith was the third hottest news story of all the news that happened around the world in the entire month of February. Her death was the third hottest news story. That was the final bit of evidence that I needed to say with no doubt whatsoever that now, no longer are we in a credential society. By that I mean a credential society. When you wanted to do business with anyone for the past 2,000 years, you wanted to know what their credentials were. Where did they go to school? What kind of degree do they have? What kind of experience? What do their customers say? What kind of training do you have beyond what you did initially? We wanted to know their credentials. Sadly, credentials now are almost meaningless. Now, if you need a license, if you're an MD or if you are a dentist or if you're an attorney, you better have a license or a certificate, follow the law, but your credentials, anyone who still thinks that when they become the best at what they do, they are the best surgeon, they're the best dentist, they're the best CPA, if they think by becoming the best at what you do, you are entitled to more customers, you're living a dream that is no longer true. Instead of a credential society, we are now living in a celebrity society, a celebrity-based society. You have no choice anymore. You must make yourself a celebrity. I don't care how small your business is and how big another person's business is. Whoever learns how to make themselves a celebrity wins. You will win. This next thing I want to show you was originated by Dan. He came up with this concept, and oh, that's right, Jennifer Lopez. This is a great example. This is a new slide I just put in because this happened very recently. Jennifer Lopez. This was the headline in MSN News, if you watched MSN News. The headline said, Lopez reportedly strikes deal worth millions for baby photos. And if you recall the story, Jennifer Lopez was paid, if I recall correctly, $5 million for photographs of her baby. They didn't even get to keep the baby. They just got photographs. That was all for $5 million. How many people would pay you $5 for photographs of your baby? If I recall correctly, you have to pay to get photographs of your baby. She was paid $5 million simply because we're so obsessed with celebrity that we want to read about Jennifer's baby, so they were willing to pay her $5 million. Okay, this next concept, this is the concept that Dan originated. I adapted it a little bit for our purposes here. It's called the Pyramid of Influence and Power. This is one of the most important things I'm going to talk about today. Make sure you write this down, and not only do you write it down, make sure you understand how important this is and how it affects your life. You'll see that this is a pyramid. The lower you are on the pyramid, the less influence and the less power you have. So at the very bottom of this pyramid, these are called generalists. For example, and I'll use a physician as an example. A general practitioner in the world of medicine has the least influence and the least power. That's a generalist. If we want to have a little more influence and a little more power, we have to go up the pyramid. The next level up would be a specialist. So let's say you wanted to have your kids vaccinated. Would you go to a general practitioner? Well, probably not. You'd probably go to a pediatrician, a specialist, someone who really knows kids. So the specialist has more power and more influence than the generalist. Now, the third level. This is the one that drives me crazy. It'll drive you crazy. It drives everybody crazy. The person that has even more power and more influence than the specialist is a celebrity. And I'm not talking about a celebrity pediatrician. I'm talking about the type of person who appears in movies and soap operas on TV, a celebrity. How many of you know who Jenny McCarthy is? Does that name ring a bell? Jenny McCarthy? Okay. You probably are familiar then with what Jenny McCarthy is saying about her son's autism. She is saying her son's autism was caused by the vaccination he got at 2 years old, the same vaccination we all got, the MMR vaccine. She is saying that the vaccine caused his autism. That goes against all science. There is not one bit of scientific evidence that connects the vaccine with autism. In fact, there have been many studies recently that show that there is no connection whatsoever between the vaccination and autism. But Jenny McCarthy is blaming the vaccine on her son's autism. She has no science background, no medicine background. Unless you consider the University of Google some higher education institution, she has no background whatsoever. But because of what Jenny McCarthy is saying about vaccinations and autism, thundering herds of parents are going to their specialist, their pediatrician, and saying, I don't want my kids vaccinated against these potentially fatal diseases because Jenny McCarthy says it may cause autism or does cause autism. The pediatricians have got to be going crazy, and I don't blame them. Here's the good news. The good news is the top of the pyramid, and this is the good news for you as well. The top of the pyramid. At the top of the pyramid, the person with the most power and the most influence doesn't want to come out. Oh, don't do this to me. There is called a celebrity specialist. Now we're back to the pediatrician. So, how does this help you? Let me give you a real-life example, something I heard in my hometown recently. I was listening to the radio talk show in my hometown, and there was an insurance agent on this talk show. An insurance agent. I mean, there are a zillion insurance agents. But this guy was smart. He was sharp at marketing. He wasn't just an insurance agent. He became a specialist. So he automatically moved up the pyramid. He wasn't just selling insurance. He was talking about wedding insurance. Smart guy. He knew he couldn't get to the next level. He's not a celebrity. He's not going to be in movies, TV, or anything else. So he jumped right over that and went to the celebrity specialist. How did he do that? He wrote a press release about wedding insurance. He got it out to the local media. He was booked on interviews. He's now doing interviews on radio, TV, newspapers, all in that area, and he's going to start to expand. He instantly, with one easy little action, became a celebrity specialist, went right to the top of the pyramid, and I'm sure that in my area there are hundreds of insurance agents scratching their heads going, where did he come from? How did he get all this power and influence? They still are general insurance agents. Huge, huge mistake. I despise Paris Hilton and everything that she represents. What you and I just did was an emotional response. I also admire Paris Hilton because better than anyone else on this planet, she attracts media attention. Better than anybody alive. That is the reality. Because Paris Hilton can attract media attention better than anybody else on the planet, she earns $6.5 million a year simply showing up at openings and nightclubs and parties. She is paid $6.5 million a year for doing that. That is the power. That is the reality. You can have the emotional response. You can either be right or you can be rich. Right is she attracts the media. She gets the benefit of attracting the media. Here's the lesson from that. Whoever has the attention of the media wins. I just said earlier, I don't care how small your business is and how big your competitor is. If you know how to get the attention of the media, you win. I don't care how big you are, how small your competitor is. If they know how to get the attention of the media, they win. I started this whole publicity thing when I was 15 years old. For those of you who may have known me when I was 15, you know that I was a major league geek, a total dork, no chance to get a date in my life. I couldn't have gotten a date with a pocket full of 50s. I knew that, thank you for laughing at my pain. Funny now, not funny then. If nothing else, I pride myself in being realistic. Even at 15, I was realistic. I knew what was ahead of me, and dates were not on that calendar anytime in the near future. So I said, okay, if I have a lot of spare time on my hands, what am I going to do with this time? I'm going to make myself rich and famous. How am I going to do that? Well, I had heard the word publicity. I knew what it meant, but I had no idea how to get it. But I knew that that's going to be the vehicle. That's going to help me become rich and famous. So I had to learn how to do it. So I started reading all those books in the library, and I'm sure you've seen them all, the library books, the bookstore books, these $20 books on publicity and how to get publicity. I read the books, and then I started doing what they told me. And at 15 years old, I set 2 goals for myself. Goal number 1, I wanted to get more publicity than the President of the United States. Where that came from, I have no idea. Goal number 2, I wanted to be on that TV show To Tell the Truth. You all know that show? It's playing in reruns somewhere on the planet. Here's a TV show. They fly you to California. They pay for it. They put you in a hotel. They hire 2 people to pretend that they're you. They hire a panel of 4 celebrities. They are supposed to guess which one is the real you. They fill up an audience. They give away prizes, and they broadcast this thing all around the world. You keep your Congressional Medal of Honor, your Nobel Peace Prize. If you haven't been on To Tell the Truth, you're nobody. And I wanted to be somebody. So that was my second goal. And I think you're getting a little glimpse into why I couldn't get a date. If these are my goals, life has improved very significantly, thank you. I started reading these books on publicity and I started doing what they told me to do. I will fast forward 4 years. By the time I was 19, I had gotten 0 publicity. I am not exaggerating. That is the truth. I could not get my obituary published in the local newspaper, so I was afraid to die. Nothing. So at 19, I'm a little bit smarter now. And I said, in 4 years, I probably tried this about 100 times or so. And I said, I can't be wrong 100 times in a row. That's just not possible. So if it's not me, it's got to be these books. And I want you to verify this for yourself. Look at these $20 books in the bookstores, the books on how to get publicity. See if they prove to you that what they're telling you to do actually works. Do they talk about TV shows that they were on or radio shows? Do they show you copies of newspaper articles or magazine articles? Nope. And then I realized they don't even know what they're talking about. So it wasn't me. So at 19 years old, I started developing my own publicity system. Fast forward 19 years, I was 19 years old, go forward 15 years to the time I was 34. From 19 to 34, I started developing the system. I kept testing it, making little changes, and I was getting publicity. More and more and more publicity. And I also realized I was actually developing a formula that I could write down. Do this, do this, do this, do this, get publicity. Do it again. Follow the same formula. A different product, a different service. Do this, do this, do this, do this, get publicity. It's a formula. Follow the formula. But I knew that something was missing from my formula because I could only get to a certain level. I couldn't get this big hit that I wanted. I couldn't get huge publicity. And then when I was 34 years old, I remember this day like it was yesterday. I was trying to figure out what was missing from my formula. What happens when you stop thinking about something? It comes right to you. And this, I can see this day so clearly. I was wearing jeans, a green and white check shirt. I again repeat, can you see why I couldn't get a date at 34, wearing jeans with a green and white check shirt? Even I know that didn't go. But I realized what was missing from my formula. There was one little piece missing, and we're going to talk about that. And my heart started pounding because I knew this was it. Do this, do this, do this, do this, then do this. That's it. I got it. I invented the formula. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be famous, finally.
Thank you for listening to the Magnetic Marketing Podcast with Dan Kennedy. If you love hearing in on these lost Dan Kennedy talks and speeches and calls, then please let someone else know about this podcast. That's how you can help it to grow. And the more it grows, the more free Dan Kennedy we can bring to you. Also, Dan would love to give you the most incredible free gift ever, designed to help you make maximum money in minimum time. Now, this free gift comes with almost $20,000 in pure money-making information for free just for saying maybe. You can get this gift from Dan right now at nobsletter.com. Not only will you get the $20,000 gift, you're also going to get a subscription to 2 marketing newsletters that will be hand-delivered by the mailman to your mailbox each and every month. One from Dan Kennedy and one from me, Russell Brunson. To get this gift and your subscription, go to nobsletter.com right now.